Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. Our topic is MS gadgets. Tonight, we're going to discuss how assistive technology can help you. This webinar series is brought to you by Can Do MS. My name is Kate Togneri, and I will be your moderator this evening. So please welcome Patty Bobrick. Patty is a physical therapist. She's joining us from Colorado tonight. And Stephanie Nolan, an occupational therapist, is also joining us from Colorado. So Patty and Stephanie, thank you both for being here today. And I will hand it over to you, Patty, to get us started.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Kate, and thank you everyone joining either good evening or good afternoon, depending on what time zone you are. I'm just going to do a brief introduction on what our goals are for tonight, what we hope for you to achieve. So, Kate, next slide, please. What we want you to do is become a little bit more familiar with assistive technology so that you have a little bit broader tools in your toolbox, if for lack of a better term, for things in your daily life. We also want you to become more confident with assistive technology. A lot of times when people hear the words assistive technology, they're like, oh, I'm not tech savvy, I can't do that. So we're hoping that you become a little bit more comfortable and confident and might be able to use some of the things that we talk about in your daily life again. And then maybe learn something new about what options are available to you that maybe you didn't know about before. There's so much out there. And certainly we're going to give you just a sliver of what's available, but it might be getting you thinking and starting you investigating on some things that might be beneficial for your life and your activities. So let's define assistive technology. Like I said, it sounds like such a big word, and people sometimes are intimidated by it because it usually means, oh, it's something on the computer or something that I don't understand. But assistive technology is really any product or a service that can help people with disabilities, any health condition, even people who are aging to function better. And even though that's the technical definition, it helps everyone. It doesn't matter if you have a disability, if you're getting older or young, assistive technology is around us everywhere. And it doesn't have to be something that you think is so high tech. It can be very low tech, like the glasses that I'm wearing. That's assistive technology. It's helping me see a little bit better. Things like shoehorns or assistive devices, canes, crutches, that's all in that assistive technology realm. Some high-tech examples, things that you can control your computer mouse with just the gaze of your eyes. Power wheelchairs have a lot of high-end, they have Bluetooth technology within them, a lot of functional seating positions for you. High-tech examples of assistive technologies for your home, like controlling your thermostat through your phone. Those would be examples of some high-tech examples of assistive technology. So Steph is going to take us now through some things that might be beneficial in the world of assistive technology for your activities of daily living. So Steph, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. So activities of daily living and instrumental activities of daily living are the things we do every day or most days. Activities of daily living, they're the basic self-care things that we do. So that's bathing, grooming, toileting, feeding, and dressing. And you often learn these as a young child. And then the instrumental activities of daily living are a little more complex. Usually you learn them as a teenager in like home ec or some, finance classes or something like that. So cooking, medication management, grocery shopping, caring for other children, pets, housekeeping, driving, and leisure activities all fall under instrumental activities of daily living. So while I'm talking today from the OT perspective, I'm going to break up these two sections and I will kind of discuss them separately. So let's talk about technology to support the ADLs. These are the basic ones, the self-care, bathing, grooming, and dressing. Okay, you can move ahead to the next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so we're going to talk first about low-tech tools. Patty just said there's low-tech and there's high-tech. So let's talk about some of the low-tech that you may have already seen or already know about. For example, these shoes here at the top are called Billy footwear shoes, and there's zippers on the top. So the whole top of the shoe opens up, so it's easier to get your foot in, and then you zip it shut. No shoelaces required at all. And it's great for people who have AFOs or maybe a Bioness or some other kind of piece of equipment that just is kind of harder to manage with shoes. They have magnetic button-down shirts for people who need to dress formal. You can just simply pull them apart and put them together without having to manage all your buttons. You can see here, these are called Care Zip adaptive pants in the middle. They're a type of accessible pants. They have zippers around the groin area if somebody needs to do catheterizations. If you need to do clothing change or undergarment changing, they have zippers on the side so you can reach to the back if you need to. So, and they look just like regular pants is the big thing, is a lot of times people don't even realize that these are adapted pants and they look great too. And on the bottom is a fun one that was shoe buttons. And those are just 2 little buttons you put in the holes on the top of your shoe so that you can wrap your laces around it and then pull them off whenever you want to take the shoes off without untying the shoe, and you just loop them right back on. So these are just some fun ideas of some low-tech tools for dressing. So here are some more low-tech tools for independence. There's foot funnels for getting your shoes on. That little thing on the top there, that pink piece, holds the heel of your shoe up and makes your heel glide in easier. And instead of using a shoe horn, which is sometimes hard to coordinate, this sits in the piece. You can step in it and then you just pull the string to take it out. To the right, you can see some adapted necklace clasps. So if you're struggling to clasp your necklaces, these are magnetic and they're really strong magnets, so that you can just kind of sling them together and then they close. So you can put them together behind your neck or in front of you. There's the well-known tub transfer bench, and these are great for preventing falls. They help with safety. They help you access a tub when some people might not be able to get into a tub because you sit on them and slide over. You can also use things like large handles for toothbrushes and razors. And there's just a lot of different tools out there. I could go on forever. I could talk the whole hour about tools for dressing and independence. But here's just a few for that topic there. And then here's some for home modifications. So these aren't necessarily the tools that you'll hold and bring with you and use, but these are things that you can use to modify your home. So grab bars are an example. Most people already know what grab bars are. A bidet, they sell aftermarket bidets that you can attach to your toilet and you can run water to it, and they can help with cleaning your bottom. They have drying ones, they have cleaning ones, they have warm ones, they have cold ones, they have all kinds of stuff. You can get the Cadillac of bidets if you want, but they are just an easier way to save some energy when you're trying to clean your bottom. Roll-in showers are another great thing. If you have a shower chair or a rolling shower chair, it can save a little energy getting in using those. On the bottom right, you can see expandable door hinges. These are actually a really affordable way to gain 2 extra inches in a doorway. They help your doorway swing back differently into the corners so that it gives you that like about an inch or 2 of gap to help maybe if you need to get a wheelchair through the space. Mirrors above your stoves. If you're seated and you're working from wheelchair level or just sitting to conserve some energy, you can have a mirror above your stove at an angle so that you can see into the pot without having to get up and down each time. And in the center picture there, you can see pull down cabinet shelves for people who either are in a wheelchair and not able to reach up, or if you're just short and you need something easier to reach and you're not going to be climbing on your countertops anymore to get things, which I did today. It's not a good idea. So these are great little shelves. And then now we're going to talk a little bit more about the higher tech stuff. I'm going to go into mostly apps right now to talk about how apps can help us. There are a bajillion apps out there. There's an app for everything you can imagine. And if you think of something that doesn't have an app, go make some money, have it produced, and you'll probably be rich. But there are so many apps out there that you can use to help your daily functions. So for example, here, this app called Habitify, sorry, it's hard for me to say that every time. It helps you kind of schedule habits, get yourself into routines and habits. So if remembering to brush your teeth in the morning is a challenge, or keeping track of if you shower every other day, remembering if you showered the day before, if you have to shower tomorrow, this can help you keep track of some of those hygiene tasks that you need to do. And I think it just takes a little bit of that cognitive burden off of you to try and remember things by using this app to offload that cognition. We also have cool apps out there now. Smart Closet and Closet Plus are apps where you can take pictures of all the clothing in your wardrobe, and it holds it into like a library of your clothing, and you can pick out outfits by matching your clothes together. It might seem foo-foo and like just fun for teenage girls, but realistically, how many people, and I'm sure this is probably more the women, put on 5 different shirts before you decide which one goes with the pants you have on. Now you just wasted a ton of energy. And this app could be a fun way to, while you're relaxing at the end of the night, put together 3 different outfits for the rest of the week. And now you know when you get up in the morning exactly what you're going to pick out, and you don't waste energy doing that. And then tracking fatigue in general. MS Self is a great app for tracking fatigue. And I think that's probably the most common thing I hear as a complaint is fatigue. So it is usually the most common complaint in general. And tracking that fatigue is really important to be able to manage that fatigue. If you understand it better, you can manage it better. Then there's, these are kind of fun. There's Bladder Pal and Bladder Tracker. You can see the top 2 pictures there. Sorry, the one on the left is Wheelmate. These are all ways to find public restrooms wherever you are. So the GPS finds you, and if you have continence issues and you know you're going to have to urgently get somewhere, you can use these apps to find restrooms near you. And on the right, you can see some of them will rank the bathrooms and how clean they are, how nice they are, if they're accessible. The one on the left is called Wheelmate. Those are specifically for accessible bathrooms that are easy to find. Then we have, for managing your bladder, we have Bladder Pal and Bladder Tracker. These are great apps for keeping track of when did you last urinate, when do you think your next urination is going to be, anticipating it through the app, kind of tracking these things. It can also track the color, the smell, things like that in case you're at risk for UTIs. This is a great way to keep track of all that too. So those are also some great apps.
Excellent. Thanks, Steph. That was great information, and I'm going to use that as a jumping off point, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some technology that's for mobility and safety. So just kind of as a introduction to this is that, you know, making a decision to use an assistive device, a mobility aid, can be a big decision. So, you know, what are some things that you have in the back of your mind that might clue you in that you might need an assistive device? Certainly if you're falling or you're tripping, but there's something what I call near falls. You don't fall to the ground. You might just have to catch yourself on a counter or the door jamb. And those count because those near falls, one, they can cause injury, and they're usually a prelude to a fall that, you know, to the ground that can cause injury. If you find yourself wall walking or furniture walking, that's another time that you should think about, oh gosh, maybe I need an assistive device, because, you know, maybe 99 times out of 100, you find a stable surface, but then that one time you put your hand on something that's on wheels and it scoots away from you. Certainly a mobility aid can help you if you have excessive fatigue, if you're struggling with your walking or your balance. A walking aid, a mobility aid can really help decrease your fatigue, make your walking pattern more efficient. And not only will it make you safer, but it might give you more endurance to walk further distances. And then this is really kind of a big one. You know, we don't talk about it too much, but a lot of times if you've experienced a fall or a near fall, you might be really apprehensive about falling, and then you start limiting your activities. So you might be fearful of that fall and you start not going some certain places because you think, oh gosh, I don't know what obstacles I'm going to face. I think that with all of the things that Steph and I are talking about today, you know, it's always good to get a medical professional's opinion on something to give you the best advice, advice on what is appropriate for you, particularly if you're using an insurance benefit for it. A lot of the apps that we talk about today are free or they're low cost, but some of the other bigger items, really you need somebody to give you some advice. I have so many people who come in and they'll have a closet full of things that they bought that just didn't end up working right for them. So always getting that opinion, that advice from a medical professional is the best. So what do we have? Certainly fall detections. Everybody's familiar with the I fall and I can't get up, the medical alert devices. But we have a lot more technology now that can be embedded in an Apple Watch or just a tracker on your wrist to detect falls. And they can be monitored or unmonitored. Monitored, usually pay for a service, and there's a way to communicate through your device that detects the falls. and the person on the other line will ask you, are you injured? Do you want me to call 911? Do you want me to call your contacts? The unmonitored ones usually just send a notification to your contacts or directly to 911. It just depends on how you have it set up. On the next slide, I have a couple of really good articles. There's so many devices out there. So these were a couple of articles on recent evaluations of fall detection watches and alert systems. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about those are clickable links, so you can go on those and take a look at those. So one of the things that I see a lot with the individuals that I see with MS is lower extremity weakness, and particularly foot drops. So we're going to talk a little bit more about things that will support your walking. For those folks who have some activation of their foot, that they can bring their toe up a little bit, but maybe they get neuromuscular fatigue, meaning that after you walk a while, you're catching your toe a little bit. The Sabo step brace is really nice. There's an ankle strap around it. You put two little kind of buttons on the eyelets of your shoes that there's these cables that go through it. And the nice technology in this, if anybody has used this before, is this BOA technology. It's a little wheel that you turn to tighten up the cords on that strap. And so it helps lift that foot up. So that's a really nice solution if you're having some fatigue and you're catching your toe. Some other options for assistive technology for weakness in the foot, next slide, please, is ankle foot orthosis, or AFO. So what you see on your screen on the far right, the white brace, is a custom molded one. So we take a cast of your leg and we mold it exactly to your contours. And there are a lot of things that we can do to customize it. We can customize the footbed. We can put different types of ankle joints in it to assist you or to stop your foot from dropping. The brace on the left, it's carbon fiber. It's a really nice brace. It's super lightweight. So sometimes the custom braces can be a little bit heavier and adds just to the weight of having to lift your leg. But the carbon fibers ones are really nice. This particular picture is one that's an off-the-shelf brace, has several sizes, and it comes with a trimmable foot plate that it fits right inside your shoe. The nice thing about that is that it does help lift up your toe. But as you go from heel, when your heel strikes the ground, to foot flat, to push off, it stores a little bit of energy. So it actually gives you a little bit of help with that push off. This particular brace doesn't have any stability on the sides of it. So if you have a lot of problem with ankle instability side to side, that's not the brace for you. So next slide, please. So these are a little bit higher tech devices. They're functional electrical stim. What you see right there on the left is this individual is wearing a cuff. There's some electrodes embedded in that. That little controller that you see on the side provides a small electrical impulse that actually stimulates the nerve that controls the muscles in your foot to help it lift it up and out. And the technology has gotten so great, so advanced, that there's a gyroscope in there, and it senses when you actually start to move your knee. And it knows exactly when to turn on, and it knows exactly when to turn off, and it can adjust to your steps. So it's constantly reevaluating what your step length is, how much your knee bent, and how much stim you need to get. There also is a thigh cuff. So on the picture on the left, you can see that there's another cuff just above the knee, and that can give your knee a little bit of stability or help bend your knee if you're stimulating the hamstring. So that's some more advanced technology. This is not something that you buy off the shelf. You would work with a therapist to see if it's an appropriate device for you. Next slide. So the neural sleeve is also very similar. It's functional electrical stim, very same purpose as the Bioness, but the electrodes are embedded in the sleeve. You pull on this sleeve and off you go. And both of these, whether it's the neural sleeve or the Bioness or any other functional electrical stim that is on the market, can be controlled through a tablet that the therapist might have, or through an app on your phone that you can control some of the parameters. So we're going to talk a little bit about assistive devices. There's a bajillion of assistive devices out there, and I'm not going to bore you with all of them. So I'm just going to highlight a couple that maybe you hadn't thought about before, or some unique features of some of them. So we'll go to the next slide. When I was working I worked at the MS Center in Orlando for years and years. And nobody used trekking poles in Orlando, but now I'm in Colorado and everybody uses trekking poles. So, you think about assistive technology or assistive devices, you don't usually think of trekking poles as that, but you can use them. They offer some nice stability. And if you just need some help with your balance, those are a nice option for you. That big white circle in the middle of your screen is actually a picture of a straight cane. It has a larger base on it, but it actually has a flashlight, has a light in it. So if you know that you're going out to dinner and you're out in the evenings and you might be going across a dark parking lot or an area that isn't well lit, that's really a nice choice for you. And on the far right, they're just long strand crutches or forearm crutches, very lightweight, easy to use. They give you a little bit more stability than something like the trekking poles because there is an arm cuff on them and it helps stabilize your arms a little bit more. So everybody's familiar with the four-wheeled walker with the seat. That's a picture on your left. But what's becoming a little bit more popular or a little bit more accepted is these stand-up walkers. So if you're somebody who has arthritis in their hands or has a lot of weakness in your hands or even in your shoulders and you can't tolerate that pushing down on a four-wheeled walker, the stand-up walkers are really nice because you put your weight through the forearms and it's distributed over a larger surface and it's easier on your hands and your wrists. Same style, it has hand brakes, you can lock it, you can turn around and have a seat on it. But just another option if you're finding that you're having some difficulty grasping or holding on to something like a four-wheeled walker. We'll talk a little bit about wheeled assistive devices. So what does that mean? It could be manual wheelchairs, it could be transport chairs, it could be powered mobility, whether it's a scooter or power wheelchairs. I just wanted to highlight some of the things that maybe are a little bit more unique that maybe you haven't seen before. Next slide, we'll go and we'll see what you can mount on a manual wheelchair. So a lot of times when you're in a manual wheelchair and you're going across very, very terrains, those front caster wheels can get stuck. They can get stuck in gravel and grass or in a rut or crack of a sidewalk. This device, it clamps onto the frame of the wheelchair and it's called a freewheel. And that large wheel helps you negotiate varied terrains better. It's a little bit easier to get over varied surfaces like gravel or grass or any of those things. So if you know that, you're going to be going out to the ball field to see the kids' baseball games or something, a freewheel might be a nice solution for you if you find that you're getting kind of bound down in the surfaces that you're on. The next device is, again, it mounts on a manual wheelchair. It's called a smart drive. And it's actually a little motor in there with a wheel. And so it can augment your propulsion. So it can actually decrease the amount that you have to propel your wheelchair. So if you find that you do your wheelchair mobility and you're doing really well, and then you go a little distance and then your arms are really fatigued and you get to a point where you're just too fatigued to propel, this is a really nice device for you. It's power assisted. It also would help you kind of get across different surfaces like inclines if you're having trouble getting up an incline or going across the carpet. They're typically controlled by like a watch that you wear on your band, and you kind of hit a sensor that's on the side of the wheel. You can control on and off and control the speed. So again, if this is something that you're interested, those links are clickable and you can go on there and take a look at it. Another way to help with propulsion on a manual wheelchair are these power assist wheels. The motor of it is actually in the hub of the wheel. They're really nice. They, again, can be controlled by a wristband that you wear. But the downside of this, everything has an up and a down. They make the chair really heavy. The motors in them add weight to the chair. So if you're somebody who's transporting the wheelchair, it just adds additional weight. I just put a picture of a power wheelchair in there. The power wheelchairs have gotten really sophisticated. Like I said earlier, they have Bluetooth technology and the controllers that control, your environmental controls, can control your computer. But usually what we see is the different power seating features. So it can recline, it can tilt, it can have elevating leg rest, it can have seat lift where it actually raises you up so you can get into a shelf, you can hit the light switch easier, reach into your closet. So there's a lot of options. So again, I've said it before, but meet with one of your healthcare professionals to see if this is an item that you're thinking about. Let's find the best item for you for now and in the future. The downside of one of the things of the power wheelchairs, they're not easily transported. So you have to have some technology to do that. This is just a picture of one way to get your power wheelchair into an adaptive van, which is a ramp. And while we're talking about transportation and getting around town, the next slide we're going to talk about is accessibility in your communities. So everybody's familiar with Uber, and Lyft both have done a good job in some cities, not in all cities, to have accessible transportation. So there's something called Uber Assist. They provide door-to-door assistance. So if you're using a walker or a manual chair that folds up, they can come to your door and assist you into the vehicle. The vehicles are not adaptive, but they would support whatever assistive device you have. And the drivers go through some training. They go through an accredited training center to actually know how to help you. Then there's something called WAVE, wheelchair accessible vehicles, which actually would accommodate a power wheelchair. But just be aware that they're not available in all cities. And then going along with Steph had said earlier, if you're trying to find accessible locations, this Access Now can help you find accessible areas in any city that you're traveling, restaurants, hotels, shops, parks. And the other one is a fuel service. So if you're in your car and you can't get out or you're too fatigued, this app will tell you where there are fuel stations that have an assistant there for you to help you gas up. And I'm going to turn it back to Steph, and she's going to talk about IADLs.
Thank you, Patty. That was awesome. So IADLs, those were those more complex activities. So for example, housekeeping, which I feel like I can never keep up with every day. I'm always struggling. And some of these apps look really cool and are supportive in helping you organize cleaning your house. You can see on the top right here, there's pictures, little icons for each person in the house. And this is I think this one was Toady. The icons represent each person, and it's kind of competitive. And as you get chores done, you get points, and you can earn as many points as you want. And it kind of helps get everybody to jump in on the activity. If you have kids, I think it's a great way to get extra support, which also, again, leads to managing your fatigue if we can get everybody else to help and on the same page. It also helps you keep track of when is the last time I cleaned the bathroom, or when is the last or when did I leave my laundry in the washing machine. So there's some great tools in there to help you keep track of cleaning. There are also laundry apps. So Laundry Genius and Laundry Day are both apps that help you. They're timers to help keep track of the wash. I am notorious for leaving my wash in the washer and then having to wash it again 2 days later. So this has little timers that you can set really quick and easily to remind you to get the laundry out of the wash. You can use a general timer to do that. It just kind of has the preset numbers in them. Laundry Heap and Laundry App are laundry services that you can hire. People will come pick up your laundry, take it, they will wash your laundry for you, fold it, and then they bring it back to you. This is my dream. I hope I can do this one day, but financially it does cost more because you are paying someone for a service. So if it's within your finance means, I think it's a great tool for managing fatigue. And then also just the general robot vacuum or mop. They're great tools for saving energy. Just set it to go off every night or morning at 3 a.m. while you're sleeping. It cleans the house and you wake up and it's done. I do warn you, if you have a little kid or bigger kids even that have small Legos and things like that, it will struggle with those. But otherwise, if you pick up the floor before you do it, it's pretty nice to have it done in the morning. So meal prep and cooking. The top picture on the right here is the app called Meal Lime. It is an awesome app. I personally use this one. It has tons of recipes in it. And the nice thing is you can modify like foods you don't like so that you don't get those recipes, or allergies or food sensitivities. You know, if you don't like Brussels sprouts, you check off Brussels sprouts and you don't get Brussels sprout recipes. Once you choose the recipe and you add it, you get to pick what day of the week you're going to put each meal, which is nice because you can visually see it and organize it. Then you get to actually create your shopping list for the whole week with this app. With one click, you have a shopping list. And then you can take that on your phone with you, or I believe you can also print it. I printed it one time. And then you have that list for you. So I think it's a huge energy saver because your meals are pre-planned, your grocery list is set together, and then it actually gives you step-by-step instructions on how to make each one. And they're very clear, easy instructions. And they taste good, actually. I was really skeptical that they would taste good. They were really delicious. Some similar apps are Tasty and Yumly. There are other ones that you can look into that kind of do the same thing. Grocery shopping apps, I love Out of Milk. This is another one I use personally because I like to make different lists for different stores. I have my Costco list, and I have my grocery store list, and I have my Home Depot list. So it doesn't have to be just groceries. It can be any kind of shopping you need to do. I actually have a list for the thrift store of random things I want to find at a thrift store. You can make whatever list you want. But it's a great app, and you can add the different items into it, and then you check them off as you get them. And if you are going grocery shopping next week, you can just refresh that whole list and it'll repopulate into the top. Or you can click one by one which ones you want to add in. Maybe you still have plenty of tuna fish, you don't need that on the list, so you go past that one and add something else. So great way to help keep track of all those things. There are also to-do lists on there. So if you have things to do and you want to keep track of that, it's really helpful. And a lot of grocery stores have similar apps now. You do your grocery shopping through your grocery store. They keep track of what you've bought. They recommend, hey, do you want to buy this again? And then you can even have either pickup, so it's prepackaged for you, or you could have it delivered. In many different grocery stores will do that too. And then just general voice commands like Siri and Alexa and whatever other voice command options you have out there are really helpful when you're cooking, to set timers, to set reminders, to, you know, just alarms are really helpful. I'm notorious for leaving something on the stove and burning it. That's always me. And I live off of my Siri now. I ask her to set a 5-minute timer for everything or whatever it needs to be. And then already built into most phones, I think all phones probably by today, are magnifiers and flashlights. So if you search on your phone for a magnifier, and if you don't have one, you can install apps for magnifiers, and you're looking at recipes and the font's just too small, or the ingredients in something are too small, and you're trying to stay healthy and eat great things, and you want to know how much sodium's in something, you can use that magnifier to bring it up larger and see it, and then you can put lights on to help with the visibility as well. Next slide, Kate. Thank you. And then finance management. There's lots of different options out there to help you manage your budget. Some here are Honeydew, Good Budget, and Pocket Guard. Good Budget is actually the envelope system. Some people may have heard, like, you budget out how much you're allowed to spend on each thing. Maybe you're going out to eat. You can only spend $100 a month, and you put yourself your budget in that yourself, and then you slowly take it out as you go. A lot of these apps will even allow you to sync your bank account with it, so it can track those things for you. It takes a little bit of that demand off you. And the Honeydew app allows you and a partner to sync both bank accounts if you want, to help track and monitor where your spending is going. Then also just general online banking through your personal bank or credit union. Cashing checks. If you can save the time it takes to drive to the store, to a bank to cash a check, that's a lot of time. You know, you could spend that time doing something you enjoy instead of driving to the bank. Making payments, you can set up a lot of auto pays, which is nice to save time, but also for memory. If you struggle to recall to get those bills paid on time, this auto pays are great to help you with that. And then they also just work great for tracking and managing your balances. All right, Patty.
Oh, I think that you have one more on leisure.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I saw
Oh,
that jump by and I lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so leisure, this is like my favorite topic, is basically doing things you enjoy. So an example of how we can use apps and technology for leisure would be audiobooks and ebooks. And these two apps, Libby and Hoopla, are both available at many libraries now, and if you just enter your library card, you get access to these ebooks and audiobooks for free. You don't have to pay Audible. You get these books for free. And you can see here, I typed in multiple sclerosis into both of them, and you will see Roz Kolb popped right up on the top as in several of the options. And it's so exciting to say, I know that person, but it's really exciting to see how many resources are out there and come right up for free and don't cost anything. And if you love to read and you like you're the type of person who holds a book to read, but you're having a hard time staying focused, I often tell people pair it with the audiobook. Hold your book and listen to your book at the same time. It's just a little bit of support for you. And I'm probably saying this wrong, but Jue is an app to help find leisure activities. I did find that it's mostly in Canada, but it's also in the USA a little bit. And a majority of it is kids stuff, but they do have stuff that is all ages. And you can type in your zip code and see what's available in that area. The cool thing is you can add things to it. If you know of an adapted sport near you, you can add it. They have adapted acting classes, sports, comedy clubs, or comedy improvs, all kinds of fun stuff. All right, now it's you, Patty.
Great. I just wrote down the free ebooks.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to close it out a little bit. We're going to talk about health management. And, that's kind of all encompassing. We're talking about physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health. And there's a lot available for all of these things. And it can be kind of overwhelming, particularly if you're fatigued or you have some cognitive issues, to kind of manage all of this health issues that you're having or that you need to report to your physicians when you go in for your checkups. And I always like to point this out. You can be healthy despite a diagnosis of a chronic illness. Even though you have MS, you can be healthy. So we're going to breeze through these. We know a lot. Next slide, please, Kate. Thank you. We're going to talk a little bit about trackers. We're going to talk a little bit about AI and a little bit about apps. We're going to go right along. What do trackers track? Everything. This picture of a tracker is actually one that they use in research, but you can get all kind of data off of a tracker. Everybody's wearing a Fitbit or some type of tracker. How many steps did you do today? What's your blood pressure? What's your heart rate? What's your sleep like? Oh, I got only 4 good hours of sleep last night. So trackers can keep a track of a lot of things. They can even do like fine motor coordination tests. So there's on the face of these trackers, you can do a tapping test that can track kind of your fine motor coordination. So they can track a lot. So next slide. So what's the difference between a tracker and a smartwatch, like an Apple Watch? It's basically a tracker within the watch. And in these smartwatches, you can have access to your messages. You can get phone calls on them, look at your emails. It has all of the virtual controls, the assistants. You can control you can get GPS, you can get control your smart home functions, can ask it a question. So the smartwatches are basically kind of your cell phone and your tracker kind of all in one on your wrist. And here's just examples. I put up an Apple Watch and a Fitbit, and then the Oura Rings are something that's become more popular recently. Garmin makes smartwatches too. So just some examples of those. This is a very busy slide, so just don't be intimidated by it. But I wanted to just talk to you about all the things that are coming down the pike for artificial intelligence. And this is just one example. So on the far left, you see somebody working out with their therapist in the clinic, and they have sensors, either pressure sensors or they're wearing sensors, and they're connected to a computer program. So you do your exercises in front of the therapist, and they give you exact directions about how the exercise should be executed. So then travel down to the bottom right of that slide. You get home, you open this program up on your phone, and an avatar appears. And as you're doing your exercises, the avatar will correct you if you're not doing the exercise properly. So because it's embedded in the program and you're wearing a sensor at home also, the avatar could say, no, your leg's going too far to the front, to the back, to the side. This isn't really readily available, but I think that we're really moving towards that. So just something that I put out there that, that you might see in the future. And there are tons of apps for health management. We're going to go through just a few of them very quickly. Stephanie has a great, wealth of knowledge. If you get to see somebody like Stephanie or in a clinic somewhere, they can give you some guidance on these apps, because when you just Google something for an app, you'll get a bajillion of them. And some of them are free and some of them cost you some money. And you want to have one that's going to work for you. So we'll go to the next slide. So if you're looking for an app to manage your MS, this is a nice one, My MS Manager. It's put out by the MS Association of America, and it can track your symptoms. It can create reports for your healthcare team, give you medication reminders, help you find your nearest emergency room. So that's something that if you want kind of just tracking kind of some of your symptoms for MS, that's a nice app for you. If you're looking at something to work on your physical and cognitive function, and also that can track it, these are a couple of nice ones. Floodlight MS is specific for MS, can test your hand function, walking ability, kind of some of your cognitive functions, and it can share that information with your doctor if you so choose. Cognifit is something that's used across all diagnoses. Anybody who has any cognitive issues, it can kind of give you an assessment to see where you need to have the most work on your cognition, and then give you activities to work in that particular realm or domain. And it's available in multiple languages. If you're having trouble with medication management, here's a couple of them: the MediSafe medication management app, and then My Therapy app. Some of them give you a little bit more information, drug-to-drug interactions, refill reminders, or others are just simply an alarm to remind you when to take your medication. And, just because you have MS doesn't mean you don't have something else. So if you have multiple conditions and you're trying to track more information, this Care Clinic app is really nice. Health Tracker can help you, give you reminders about appointments. It has a food and drink database in it, can store your vaccination records in it. And it was developed in part by some medical advisors, so it has a little bit more medical slant to it. And then, there's a lot of information out there on the World Wide Web about connecting with people who have MS, and some of it is reliable and great sites, and some of it is less reliable, and the information isn't always as valuable as we like it. But here's one good site for you. It's called Belong MS, social network and for individuals living with MS and their care partners. You could chat with experts and share your experiences. It also has some health tracking in it, organize your healthcare records. And also, if you were looking for clinical trials, you can go on that site. I wanted to spend just a little bit more time, I won't belabor this point again, but meeting with your healthcare professional to see exactly what you need before you just go off and do something, particularly in the realm of exercise, because I'm always of the mindset that if you're going to do an exercise, you want to get the most bang for your buck, right? So doing an exercise that is good for your general health, but may not help you reach your functional goals, maybe a little bit of wasted energy. So meeting with your professional to determine what's going to be the best exercises for you. But there's a great wealth of knowledge out there as far as exercise and available apps to you or resources on the internet. So next slide is a list of a number of them. They're all great. Some of them are free and some of them cost a little bit. So again, you can work with your healthcare professional to decide if one of these will work for you. And all right, so to wrap it up.
Yeah, our key takeaways today are, I know we slammed as much as we could into a short period of time. There's so much we could have gone on and on and on for. But the main thing is assistive technology, whether it's simple or complex, can assist in the management of multiple sclerosis. Please use reputable sources and consult with your providers when you're choosing what you're going to use. Occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, they're all great resources. You can also look for specialists in your area. Sorry I didn't include this because I just thought of it now, but RESNA, R-E-S-N-A, is the assistive technology kind of governing group, sort of. So you can go in there and search for someone in your area who specializes in assistive technology. That's RESNA, and I'm not even going to try and tell you what it means. Be open to trying something new. And I think that's huge. If we try something new, you might find something that works great for you, and there's an app for that.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was a lot of amazing and great information. Quick reminder to our viewers that we truly appreciate you completing a survey that will pop up on your screen as soon as this webinar ends. But first, we really want to spend some time to go through a few questions that have been submitted throughout the webinar and before. So we're going to jump right into this. We've got about 10 minutes left. Steph, one of the questions that was submitted is, are there glasses to help with vision problems?
So yes, that you would particularly need to see a neuro-ophthalmologist to have that determined. That's not something that we would determine for you, but there's other strategies to help with vision. We talked about magnifiers, we talked about lighting. You can use high contrast on your devices, so tablets, laptops, phones. You can change to high contrast. You can make fonts bigger. You can make icons bigger. So, and that's another great time to talk to an occupational therapist who can help you modify a lot of those things.
And while we've got you, there was a lot of questions in the chat and the Q&A about the MS Self app, some trouble locating it. So can you, do you know, is it quick and easy to tell people where to find that app?
So somebody mentioned it wasn't coming up on iPhone, and personally, I've not installed it myself yet. So it might just be an Android, and I have not used that one personally. But the MSAA app is also a good option. There's a few other like fatigue tracking, and Patty mentioned a couple others that monitor symptoms.
All right, thanks, Steph. Patty, I want to touch on something. We got a question and you kind of addressed it a little bit with the freewheel. Is there an app or source you can find mobility aid suitable for all terrains while on vacation or a park? Searching for terminology to include when searching for this.
Okay, so yes, and again, I think that it would be it was good information that Steph gave earlier about searching on the RESNA website, resna.org, to look for an assistive technology professional in your area. But there is a device to meet anybody's need. Okay, so there's some of the mobility products that actually look kind of like a tractor that can drive over like hills and some, smaller logs. There are mobility products that have really beefy tires on them that can go over more terrains too. It really just depends on what you're looking for and what and sometimes the cost of it.
All right, thanks, Patty. While we have you, can you talk a little bit about TechNeck? After all of this information that we've shared and here on the webinar, what can you tell us about TechNeck?
TechNeck is lousy posture while you're using your technology. How many times do you go into a restaurant and you just see dozens of people on their phones with their head down, or their phone really close to their face, or just even a poor posture when you're at your computer, at your laptop or your desktop. So one of the things that you want to really do is be in good posture, be in a good supportive chair. You want to have your device, particularly if it's a laptop or a desktop, that is at eye level with you, that you're not constantly looking down. Again, evaluating kind of your posture by OT or a PT would be really beneficial to give you some specific exercises to help that, some stretching. But just a really good piece of advice is that if you're involved in interacting with technology that you're having maybe possibly poor posture with, set a timer and get up every 20 minutes and stretch out a little bit, or change your position, or move the device a little bit so that you're just not in that static posture, because that can cause a lot of problems. And, it doesn't keep you from having an orthopedic problem, neck pain, shoulder pain, carpal tunnel, any number of things.
Perfect, thank you. Steph, we've gotten a couple of questions. I'm going to combine a few. One of them is about memory support and enhancing apps. And then somebody else is just curious about what will help them remember birthdays?
I actually need help remembering birthdays too. Today is my aunt's birthday, and I just realized it. But you can just use any calendar in your phone, and you can put a birthday in. So you put, Susie's birthday is on the 14th, and you can have it reoccur annually. So it gives you the option to say reoccur every year on this date, and that reminder can pop up for you. You can set it to have an alert pop up. You can set it to be different colors in your calendar. So I definitely take advantage of that. There's so many different apps to help with the cognition. We talked about a few, like the apps for managing housekeeping and the apps for managing medications and apps for managing finances. There's not one app that's going to give us all of that. You kind of have to break those down into several apps. And then there's some apps that are for just keeping your brain sharp. Some apps that you can play games, and I'm blanking on the name of it right now. But I know in our Jumpstart, I know Sam will be talking about that, I think. But yeah, so there's lots of apps out there to help keep your cognition going. And then there's apps to kind of modify and help you in the areas where you're struggling.
Thanks, Steph. So somebody asked a good question, and either one of you, I'll throw this out to you. What are some good search terms for apps and or assistive devices? So they were suggesting that they found that looking under traumatic brain injury or senior aids sometimes is better at helping with this than searching under multiple sclerosis. So do you have any advice there?
I always suggest, so if you're searching for a modification in your home or a modification in an activity, I always tell people to search for adapted blank. So if you want to do hockey, you can search adapted hockey. Or the other thing is, like you said, brain injury. Another term that's really helpful is spinal cord injury. A lot of the tools out there started from people who had spinal cord injuries. So you might search cooking for spinal cord injury, or using the toilet with a spinal cord injury. I think those are great terms to use. Patty, I'm sure you have a whole bunch of others.
Yeah. And I think that you can get even more descriptive too, is that like cooking from a seated position, or just putting in wheeled mobility. It will give you a lot of hits, and it'll give you a broader search than if you search specifically something like a mobility product for multiple sclerosis. So it really is try to broaden your terms, and then if you're like me, you go down the rabbit hole and you find all kind of things that you never expected.
And I even found Chat GPT. You can just search in there, and you can search things like apps for memory or apps for laundry or whatever it is that you're searching for. And you're going to have to research a little bit into them, right? They're not going to be like everything's perfect, but it gives you some starting point, I guess is what I'd say.
Okay. Patty, where can you buy foot funnels?
Oh,
you can order them on Amazon.
Yep.
I just ordered one for one of my patients yesterday.
Yeah.
Excellent. How about
I think that it was like $15.
Steph, can you share examples of tech for folks with tremors trying to use laptops, like typing or using a mouse?
Yeah. So there are different types of ergonomic mouse options. You can use, like on a laptop, there's a little touch pad. If you're better off stabilizing your arm and just using a finger, that might give you more control. If you need bigger movement but still need some support, they have a mouse that you can hold like this, and you move the whole arm while you stabilize your arm down. They even have a mouse control that goes into, it's like a retainer in the roof of your mouth, and you control it with your tongue. So there's so many crazy things out there. There's eye gaze. You can use your eyes to control a computer now. So there's lots of options for that. Voice to text is huge. That's going to be a great way to accommodate for some of that tremor texting. And if you're on a phone or something, you can just make things bigger, just like we talked about with vision, just making your icons larger so you're not accidentally hitting the wrong ones. And then there was another thing I was thinking, I just dropped it, but there was one other, and if I catch it, I'll come back.
Excellent. Well, this has all been some great information. I'm going to just share my slides one more time to show everybody how to stay connected. The webinar may be over, but we do hope that you'll keep in touch with us. So please follow us on social media for all the latest information on programs, resources, MS News. And then you can also subscribe to our monthly e-news series by visiting our website. So the website again is candoms.org.